Welcome back, my friends, to Fiesta Friday. Now, earlier in the week, we told you about the Guamanian Magazine, a beautifully and well-written publication that is new to the island, just put out. So, we brought in the editor-in-chief to tell us all about it, what it takes to put it together, and what it means for the island. And we went no further than our own newsroom because Mr. Nestor Licanto is the editor-in-chief, so I will pass that on to you. And
thank you, Jason.
Certainly not the first time you've held it in your hand, but I must say, how does it feel? You've written for print media for many, many years. You've been obviously involved with broadcast for a lot longer than that. How does it feel to actually have something tangible in your hand that you saw when it was just a conceptual idea?
It feels good. This would be my first effort at editing a magazine. I've written for print, as you mentioned before, and of course for TV over the years. But it feels great. And you always get a little nervous about how it's going to turn out, and but I think we're pretty pleased with the first issue.
And I know the demographic which it targets. You said it is from the publishers of UNO, and each kind of has their own distinct audience to which each caters. So who does this appeal to?
Well, actually, when E.J. Calvo, who is the publisher of the magazine, publisher of UNO, he's been very successful. The magazine has been very successful over the past, I think it's been 6-7 years. And so he came up with an idea to provide a similar sort of magazine for a little bit older crowd, maybe a more established, and as you get older,
guys our age,
your priority, your priorities change, your interests change, and they evolve. So that's what this is basically. This is kind of like an UNO for the older demographics taste, and so that's our challenge. Each issue. It's a bi-monthly publication. So each issue we try to come up with topics and articles and just elements of the magazine that would appeal to an older sort of demographic.
And I've been through the first issue. Well done. It's a true triumph. I mean, the photography is beautiful. The articles are incredibly well put together. The theme carries throughout the magazine and everything. It's gorgeous to look at.
Well, thank you. Yeah. It's it's a business, politics, culture, lifestyle magazine. So it's a general kind of interest magazine.
Now I can basically hear about maybe 300,000 Guamanians, both here and in the States, yelling at me from the other side of the camera saying, okay, where can we get this? So on which newsstands can they pick up a copy?
Okay, it's available everywhere UNO is available. I think it's the...
I think we were saying Circle K,
correct,
Payless, Bestseller. Can you tell I've read your web story several times?
Yeah.
So so basically everywhere UNO is found, which is basically almost everywhere on the island. So you've canvassed the entire island. And what are some of the topics that you'll be investigating? Because again, it's not just putting a cool series of articles to have on a coffee table. You're also doing you're bringing your own expertise in storytelling and journalism to this to tell very compelling stories. Yeah,
we have a regular editorial meetings to try and gauge what's of interest to the public. Next issue, one of our main features is going to be the restoration of Hagåtña, our capital city. There is actually a committee that the governor has impaneled to go over how to redevelop again into a more of a true capital city where there's a lot more features. I think the Guam Museum is part of that, the legislature building, and there's just going to be a whole lot of new elements to the city that's going to be good for both residents and visitors. So we wanted to explore that. We wanted to explore, the mindset of the committee and what their goal is in revamping. And there's going to be something for everybody. I think for the marina, for example, the long-term plan is to develop that into something that you'd find in big cities across the United States, like the San Francisco Wharf, for example, where there's a dock for a cruise ship. There's hotels, there's restaurants, a walkway, that sort of thing. So they're coming up with all kinds of different ideas to make Hagåtña, a place where people would want to come. Because, over the years, Hagåtña, once it's 5 o'clock and all the workers, it's pretty much deserted. So I think that's the whole idea behind.
And you blink twice and you'll miss it as you pass through. One moment you're in Anigua, the other moment you're in Tamuning if you're heading north.
Right, and historically, Hagåtña was the kind of the center of commerce and gatherings and stuff. And so I think they want to kind of revitalize that. Yeah, so
And
that's one of our stories.
And aside from the print version, there is also a complimentary digital component that goes along with it.
Yeah,
as
and
I
we're
understand.
we're in the process of developing that the online presence, as you say, which you're an expert in. You probably know a whole lot more about that than I do. So that's something that I have to also get immersed in. But yeah, we plan to have that as well.
Okay, now final question before we let you out of here and going to work on issue 2, which I'm sure you're well in the middle of right now.
Yeah.
We work in TV, and this natural medium, we're so beholden to time, and we've only got 2 minutes and 30 seconds to tell a story, which most of the time is not an adequate amount of time to actually say something. How does it feel to actually have like a little bit more leeway and maybe say, okay, we want 4,000 words or something like that, and maybe over a longer form be able to like express a thought or interview somebody and kind of like have a conversation?
Yeah, and that's a good point, because each medium has its advantages and disadvantages and its role. I mean, like radio is for immediacy, TV is the words and the pictures, and print newspaper is for maybe a longer story, more information, and magazine is a little bit more than that. I mean, we can dedicate 5,000 words to it if the story warrants that. So it's a little bit different for me writing for magazines than for television, because television is more down and dirty. You got to get that all in and all that information in about 90 seconds. This we have the benefit, and as editor I can also adjust the length of the article. So yeah, it's different, but it's not as easy as you might think. I mean, it's trying to use all of the material is always the most difficult thing, because there's so much good material, and you got to pick and choose which you're going to put into the story and the angle that you take.
All right. Well, congratulations on issue 1, and best of luck. You've got all of us waiting for issue 2 with bated breath and everything, and we're very proud of you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Another notch on Nestor's already